we have in Northeastern Ontario is this really cool opportunity to create these very authentic and powerful memories for people coming into the communities. My name is Dee Dillabo. I was born in North Bay and I grew up here in Mattawa. After high school, I felt the need to do some traveling and really had this beautiful opportunity to see cultures completely different from my own. We did have a really cool experience in Indonesia. We ended up ordering fish from a local fisherman. And so that ended up being a really special experience because we all sat around at this table and we talked about local culture and different experiences growing up and shared local food. Something like this is one of the most memorable experiences I had while traveling. Tourists want these authentic, intimate, one-on-one experiences with locals. When I came back to Mattawa, it was special to see the town in this completely new light. There are people in Mattawa who know how to do things like mushroom picking and foraging, building birch bark and cedar strip canoes, Métis beading. I know that as a traveler, those experiences that I was really searching for, they're all available here. "101 Experiences" is this really cool organization. They're aiming to work with those individuals that have these cool interests and hobbies, and they're trying to bottle them into a micro experience. For example, you go on a guided walk and you learn about the plants and the berries and the mushrooms that you can eat, and then you come back and you actually cook those mushrooms up. It creates a really well-rounded, memorable experience. We have the people here, we have the culture here, we have the art. The issue is, how do we make that connection? How do we connect the locals to the travelers and the tourists? A Passion Scout is crucial because they know the locals. They encourage them to help people make memories. I think the key to finding Passion Scouts in your community is that you're finding people who are empowered to make some real change in their community by empowering other people. They see their community with a brand new lens. The beautiful thing is that we can give our community this economic boost by utilizing what we already have in our communities, which is these talented, motivated, passionate people with really interesting skills and hobbies and interests to share.
Start. Good evening, everybody. It's welcome to the Tuesday, May the 4th meeting of council tonight, and just want to welcome everybody that's joining us online as well tonight. So I'll call the meeting to order. It's 6 o'clock on the nose. I'll ask the clerk for the roll call, please.
Good evening, Your Worship. All members are present with the exception of Councillor Hewitt.
Thank you very much.
Just for your information, Your Worship, I understand Councillor Hewitt is attending. I spoke to her earlier. That was her indication.
Yeah, I was talking to her about half an hour ago as well, so she planned on it. She should be joining us very shortly. Item number 3 is reviewing and deletions to the agenda. Anything else need to be added or deleted at this point to the agenda? If not, I've got a motion moved by Councillor Foley, second by Councillor Ferrier. Be it resolved that City Council approves the agenda as printed. Anybody opposed to that motion? We will consider that one carried. During disclosure of pecuniary interest of general nature tonight.
Yes, Your Worship. Councillor Foley declared a conflict of pecuniary interest related to Section 15, new business item D, related to memo number 019-2021 CS, related to the funding request for the Tri-Town Ski and Snowboard Village, as his spouse is on the Tri-Town Ski and Snowboard Village Executive Committee.
Thank you very much. Anybody else got any conflict of interest tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 6, the review and adoption of the council minutes. I got a motion moved by Councillor MacArthur, second by Councillor Whalen. Be resolved that City Council approves the following minutes as printed. The special meeting of council was held on April the 15th, 2021, and the regular meeting of council held on April the 20th, 2021. So any comments, or errors, or omissions on those 2 sets of minutes? Anybody opposed to carrying that's 2 sets of minutes? We'll consider them carried. Thank you. There's no public meeting pursuant to the Planning Act, Municipal Act, or other statute tonight, so we'll move into the first question and answer period. Shelley, do we have everything on the chat box tonight for questions?
No questions so far, Mayor Kidd.
Okay, thank you. Well, we'll move right on. Item number 9 is presentation by Nicole Girton, the Director of Northeastern Ontario Consortium, CNEO, and it's regarding the Cultural Crossroads, the 101 experiences. Nicole, welcome tonight.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Am I going to be seeing the presentation, Brad?
Is that possible, Brad?
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Better put my glasses on. Okay. Hi. So the Cultural Crossroad, it's a project. It's the crossroad between tourism and making our communities more welcoming. So the project has 2 main goals. One, to develop a 101 experience, and of course, make our communities more welcoming. So it's a group of organizations across Northeastern Ontario that is forming the consortium. And Centre Culturel Artem is the sponsor of the project. So all the applications have been done to Centre Culturel Artem. So the project, the first phase was, well, really the first pilot project was last year in Temiskaming. And after that pilot project, a lot of communities across the north showed interest. So we got together and did applications. So as you can see, we got the partnership from many funding agencies. And we were also the only project outside of Quebec that was funded by Desjardins by $100,000. So it was still a very big achievement to do that. Some of the communities were worried that once the project was going to be finished in November, so we were able to extend the project. So really, we're going to be developing 202 experiences from here till next year across Northeastern Ontario. So as I mentioned, the 2 objectives besides that is also developing a model that we can see can work to develop tourism experiences. It's not that easy to develop experiences. Before we started the Temiskaming project last year, there was only 6 experiences on Airbnb from North Bay to Thunder Bay. We're also going to be doing a national summit, and we already have a national partner with the Indigenous Community Association of Canada and Rede Canada. So Why we need a project like this? Well, first of all, I'm sure you know as a council how our population is aging. We're almost double here than the average in Canada. That is bringing a lot of problems with businesses for having a shortage of people to work. You might say there's a lot of people moving in our communities, but most people moving in the community right now already have a job. So it doesn't really help that. So we need to do more with immigration. And to be able to do more with immigration, we need to remove racism in our community. When we started this project last year, we had trouble saying the word racism, but with everything happening with the Black Lives Matter and all of the movement, I think we know there's systemic racism in our communities, and how do we address that? So the contact hypothesis, this is a theory that was developed in the 50s, and over 500 research have been done using this. So why we think experience? Because there's 3 elements that you need to help reduce racism. You need to spend time with someone that's different from you. You need to be on equal status. So if you're picking up your coffee at Tim Horton, that doesn't really work. And you need to collaborate on a specific goal. So if you're in a canoe with an Indigenous person and you're both paddling, aiming at the same place and spending a few hours together, those are elements to help reduce racism. And why it's important for me to present to councils across Northern Ontario is that we need political power to be supportive. We've seen in the States with Donald Trump, it didn't help to remove racism in the community. So this is the incubator model that we developed using our experiences in Temiskaming last year. So we say it takes a whole village to develop an experience, and we are seeing that the model is working. It's a long process. People need to be massaged, but we're getting experiences out. Just later tonight, we're going to be launching a campaign, and we have 27 online experiences that are being launched tonight for Mother's Day. So we know any marketing, there's that entrepreneurial funnel. You know, you get so many clients and reach out to many people, and they're not all going to be converting. So we think it's about 4 to 1. We need to reach 4 people to be able to develop one experience. And with the Indigenous community, it's even higher. So it's a big job to recruit not the good, but people that are ready to do experiences. So we're using Airbnb platform because Airbnb are really the leader. In the last 3 years, they developed 45,000 experiences in the world. Airbnb we have a contact in San Francisco that we're meeting once a month. They're very excited at what we're doing here. They're doing a similar project in Africa and Thailand, and they're the one paying to do this project. Well, here they're not really putting money, but they're giving us their support. So we're using that model, same thematics, same questions, all of their experience are being reviewed by someone. So that helps us bring the quality up. So these are some of the examples that are being developed across the north. Rashminder is somebody from Punjab, and she's going to be doing a dancing experience here in the community. You see Lynn Cormier. These are the famous stairs of the on the Hailgray Great Fire Tour. You can see food and drink. It can be an experience on its own, but we also try to encourage everyone to put a bit of food as part of the experience, and that supports the food strategy that the city is developing. As I mentioned a little while ago, wellness, very, very strong. You see here yoga being given at Devil's Rock. We just had a new group of participants last week, and almost from Temiskaming Shores working with Pamela Amel. So we have a group of 10 trainers right now, and about half of the people working on the project are located in the Temiskaming Shores area. Entertainment, lots of musicians in our community that could, especially musicians, haven't had a chance to produce. So this is a good opportunity for them, that it can be online or even in person. We're going to be doing small groups. All of the research is showing that people are going to be looking at traveling in small bubbles this summer. So experiences usually are less than 10 people, but we'll probably be closer to 5 this summer. Not time to go up the CN Tower in the elevator. So this is very pertinent on what we're doing. So here in sports, Milen's our youngest participant at 17 years old, and she was the first one to get out and have her experience approved. And we're working with Jean-Pierre Rivet at 77 years old, doing a historic golf experience for people that might not be golfers. Again, from trappers to photographers, it can be bird watching, a lot of ATVing. I'm working with a group in Temiskaming. There's already 40 people that just from the ATV club that watched our video. So interesting to see what's happening there. So we're doing a 5-week program. So people listen to videos for about an hour and a half. Then they come in person for about an hour and a half with between 4 to 8 people in the group, and then they can learn between themselves. And we do the passion fair, which we'll have on the next slide. We also, so the passion fair is really like a speed dating where we people get to pitch to 3 people, and then we change group. We're doing with Zoom with subgroups. And then they pitch again, and they do that 5 or 6 times in an hour and 15 minutes. So they get confident and people give them feedback, and then some of them might want to become a mentor. And the mentorship is just those extra eyes to give you confidence. A lot of time with the international student, they might not have a place to be able to host their experience. Whoops. Okay, I guess I passed my 10 minutes, but marketing very quickly, just 30 seconds. So we're going to be using Airbnb platform, but we're just going to be launching our own platform. The key for Airbnb is because they offer liability insurance of $1.3 million. So if people don't have liability insurance, which is most people, unless you're part of an organization, that's where Airbnb becomes useful. So this is our Ride the Wave program that we're launching in May, which is going to be launching tonight. So invite your mother to come and do an online experience for May. So we're going to have a total of 28 different experiences. So it'll be 75 different experiences given in French and English. And we're going to be taking groups of 10. So hopefully about 750 people will be taking this experience in the next few weeks. And I think that's it. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. Nicole, you got time for some questions?
Yes, of course.
Sure. Anybody, council members, any questions, comments tonight? Councilor MacArthur.
Yes, Nicole, I attended the 64th annual virtual conference and showcase, and one of the topics was tourism, and talking about obviously COVID-19 and what's going to happen to tourism, what's going to happen to businesses, and it looks like 2021 is going to be another slow year. We don't know if there's going to be businesses that won't come back. And I was just wondering what your opinion was of this year's tourism. Is it going to be disappointing, or it's going to be of a smaller nature?
Well, I think it's a huge opportunity for Northern Ontario this year. Like it was last summer, when things open up, people are looking to get out of the city. They're not going to the States. They're not going to Europe. And this type of experience we're offering in small groups. This is what people are looking. Most of these experiences are going to be offered outside wellness. People want to connect with nature. Just last week, there was the conference from Tourism Excellence North, and everybody was saying the same thing: hyper local, small groups. So we are bang on what needs to be done here in tourism, and it's very exciting. I was presenting to Yukon Indigenous Tourism last week because they're already hearing about what we're doing here, and they want to get in on this. We're not ready yet, but we have trainers that will be able to help other communities across Canada. So sometimes we don't know what we have in our own community, but right now what's happening here, it's big, and people are taking notice. So thank you for the support you gave last year on the pilot project that we did here.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I can't see everybody. Everybody's not on the screen, but if you got any questions or comments, just speak up, please. Councillor Whalen?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Kidd. Thanks, Nicole. I do agree with you that I think Northern Ontario has a huge advantage with our outdoors attraction. So I congratulate you. This is an ambitious venture, so good luck with it.
Thank you. Yes, it is very ambitious, and been working around the clock for the past year on this, but it's getting a bigger movement. As we're getting their trainers, and now it's the participants, and there's like a big momentum that people want to be part of this, and there's still opportunities where the video you just showed, we're going to be launching that also tomorrow. So we need those passion scouts, people that can recognize passion, because people that have talent, they don't see the talent in themselves. The musician think everybody can play music, and the forager thinks everybody knows what mushroom you should be eating. So that's why we need leaders to help identify those people and let them know that this is for them. And they do this part-time. The problem in the past, we were trying to develop tourism full-time, and it doesn't work because there was not enough clients. So they can do this part-time.
Good, thank you. Other questions, comments?
Yeah, if I could, Mayor Kidd, I don't really have a question, Nicole. I just want to take the time to thank you for especially your dedication to this area. It's certainly welcomed, and you know as well as I do, we have a beautiful area here and a great province. So if you can get more people involved, get them outside, get them doing things, I think we're on the right road. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Nicole. I see you're streaming from your co-works location there tonight there. So, and I do want to invite you to work with Matt Baum there too, if you do need city facilities there, and work with him, and we'll try and see what we can work together. So.
Yes, okay, perfect. And there was also maybe Lynn Cormier does a Bannock experience in the TP, and I was wondering if it'd be possible maybe working with the fire department to see if it would be able to do it during the day, not just at night. No.
Yeah, we can work with Steve Langford there, the fire chief, to see if he has any issues at all. So I'm sure we can work that out.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Nicole. Appreciate everything tonight there.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to communications. 10A is a letter from Mr. Frederick McEwen and Mrs. Carmen McEwen, the residents' request to purchase municipal land received on April the 13th has been referred to the municipal clerk for processing in accordance with the disposition of land bylaw 2015-160. 10B is a letter from Mario McLean, a third-year Laurentian student, former resident of Earlton, regarding Laurentian University needs your help. It affects your community. It's received on April the 15th for our information. 10C is a letter from Chantel Menard Cote, as a resident. It's a petition in opposition to Zach's crib location at 183 Broadwood Avenue, and that was received on April the 19th. 10D is a letter from Herb Villeneuve, the new director for the Northeast Operations, Ministry of Transportation. It's regarding the organizational changes update that was received on April the 16th, 2021, received for our information. 10E is a letter from Daniel Manton, the city clerk for the city of Cambridge, regarding support resolution request for paid sick leave, and that was received on April the 21st for information. 10F is a letter from Chief and Council addressing First Nations. The Chief and Council respond to the COVID-19 provincial checkpoints, and that was received on April the 21st, and there's a motion presented under new business tonight for that. 10G is a letter from Gord Krieger, the project manager for DM Wills Associate Limited. We got a notice of study commencement for the MTO Group C class environmental assessment for the detailed design study and production of a contract document for Highway 65 East at the future Grant Drive extension. That was received on April the 23rd and referred to the manager of transportation services. 10H is a letter from Carol Schofield, the manager of legislative services and the clerk for the town of Fort Erie. And it's looking for support for the province investigating and updating source water protection legislation, received on April the 27th for information. 10I is a letter from Tanya Daniels, the city clerk for the city of Brantford. Support looking for resolution looking for support for the province of Ontario withdraws its prohibition on golfing and any other outdoor recreational activities, received on April the 30th for information. 10J is a letter from Kaylin Woods, the chair of the Hillbury Heritage Museum, regarding the Great Fire of 1922 centennial recognition, and that's received on April the 30th. That's been referred to the Economic Development Officer for a report to council at a later date here. 10K is a letter from Jordan Kemp, the clerk treasurer for the Township of Hudson. And it's support resolution for the support of fire departments that received on April the 30th for information. Motion resolution is moved by Councillor Hewitt, second by Councillor Jelly. Be it resolved that City Council agrees to deal with communication items 10A through 10K according to the agenda references, unless somebody else wants to make some changes here. Councillor Jelly.
Yes, I'd just like to bring back item B, which is Mr. McLean's request for support for Laurentian, and item K, Jordan Kemp's support resolution to support the fire departments regarding inclusion in fundings. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other comments? If not, we'll make bring those two items back for next council meeting. And if anybody opposed to them, this motion be approved as amended. Seeing and hearing none, we'll consider that motion carried. Item number 11, the committees of council, community and regional. I got a resolution 2021-200, moved by Councilor Ferrier, second by Councilor MacArthur. Be resolved the following minutes be accepted for information. A, the minutes of the District of Temiskaming Social Services Administrative Board meeting held on February the 17th, 2021. B, the minutes of the Temiskaming Shores Public Library Board meeting held on March the 24th, 2021. C is the minutes of the Temiskaming Transit Committee meeting held on April the 13th, 2021. And D is the minutes of the Temiskaming Shores Police Services Board meeting held on April the 19th, 2021. Any comments or questions on those sets of minutes? Anybody opposed to approving those minutes? We'll consider that motion carried. Get back on the screen there. So, moving on to item number 12, the committees of council, the internal departments. I got a motion moved by Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor Jelly. Be it resolved that the minutes be accepted for information regarding the minutes of the Recreation Committee meeting held on April the 12th, 2021. Comments on that set of minutes? Anybody opposed to that motion? Because that motion carried as well. Moving on to reports by members of council tonight. So, Councillor Jelly.
Yes, as I stated earlier before in the meeting, Chris and I sat in today on a meeting with the Solicitor General representative concerning detachment OPP police service boards. It was obvious right from the beginning of this meeting that the Solgen has taken a bit of a step back in their hard line, or their what appeared to be a hard line when it first came out as far as timelines and establishing boards and what have you. So the June deadline, which was June 7th, and you know, as pointed out, I mean, that's only two council meetings for us. So anyways, they made it very clear that June 7th is not etched in stone. At one point, they said they hope to have everything by the end of the summer. but June 7th is certainly not etched in stone, and they won't be on June 8th be chasing us or telling us how to set up a board. So that's good news. So, you know, we'll move on from there. So we did, you know, there was a good participation. The problems throughout Ontario seem to be the same. So there certainly doesn't seem to be any objection to more than one board in an area, especially areas such as us. We did have a question in there concerning the difficulty in working with 19 different communities in this area, considering, you know, our broadband and everything else, getting together. She was very quick to come back to Chris and I and say that she is familiar with the Temiskaming district and understands what we're going through. So I took that as really good news, and that perhaps some of the work we've been doing over the past few years has brought enough attention that we can work with our fellow community people. The mayor of Charlton Dacker, the Reeve Merrill, was on there today, and their policing committee in the north looks like it will be certainly a go to work with them. So what's going to take place now? Chris has already notified the Sol Gens office that there's no belief that we will make the June 7th meeting. We will deadline. We will certainly try, but we do not feel that's possible. So he did send in a notice to them so that they're aware of it, that we're not just dragging our heels and what have you. So moving forward, we're going to try to get a meeting set up, I believe, with the mayors, reeves, and clerks of the 19 municipalities around us, and get clarification on what our First Nation friends to the south are doing. And we'll get moving on with this, and hopefully get some boards set up that are going to work to everybody's satisfaction. Thank you.
Good news. Thank you. Other reports, members of council? Nobody else got anything else? I just wanted to bring up one item that was received today. It wasn't in time to put on your package. It's about Mental Health Week. And every year since 1951, the CMHA has hosted Mental Health Week in the first full week of May, making 2021 the 70th year. This year, CMHA Mental Health Week is observed on May the 3rd to the 9th, 2021. And Mental Health Week is a Canadian tradition with communities, schools, and workplaces rallying to celebrate and protect and promote mental health. And the core objective of Mental Health Week is to promote mental health, because mental health is something we can promote and protect, not just something we can lose. So this year's theme for Mental Health Week is understanding our emotions, and recognizing, labeling, and accepting our feelings are all part of protecting and promoting good mental health for everyone. And naming, expressing, and dealing with our emotions, even when they're uncomfortable, can make us feel better. So I know it's unprecedented times right now, and people are very stressed, and a lot of anxiety out there that people are experiencing. Some very stress-related things with the COVID-19, and I think 40% of Canadians say their mental health has deteriorated since the onset of this pandemic. So just something to keep in mind there, and that this starts this week for Mental Health Week. So any other reports by members of council? If not, we'll move on to no's and motions. Are we getting no's and motions tonight? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move into the new business. 15A is proclamation for Emergency Preparedness Week 2021. I got a motion moved by Councilor LaFerrier, second by Councilor Hewitt. Whereas Emergency Preparedness Week is an annual event that takes place each year during the first full week of May, and it's an opportunity to encourage all residents to take concrete actions to better prepared to protect themselves and their families during emergencies. And whereas the City of Temiskaming Shores, through the Office of the Fire Marshal and Emergency Management, and all our emergency management partners, assist the City of Temiskaming Shores to identify community risks, mitigate those risks, prepare for, respond to, and recover from disasters and emergencies. And whereas the City of Temiskaming Shores is doing everything it can to prepare for disasters, and realizes residents also have an important role to play in ensuring their own safety during an emergency. And whereas emergency preparedness is a shared responsibility, and all individuals can reduce the risks we face by better understanding what could happen and learning how to better prepare ourselves, our families, and our community. And And whereas each individual must understand the risks inherent to where we live and work and undertake actions that reduce those risks in an effort to limit the extent to which an emergency may affect us. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores proclaims the week of May the 2nd to the 8th, 2021 to be Emergency Preparedness Week in the City of Temiskaming Shores and encourages all citizens to participate in educational activities during Emergency Preparedness Week and throughout the year. Any comments on that resolution? Anybody opposed to that motion? We'll consider that one carried. Moving on, 15B is addressing First Nations looking for support for the COVID-19 provincial checkpoints. And like a resolution moved by Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor Foley. Whereas provinces and territories across Canada are taking steps to establish checkpoints or closing borders in an attempt to contain the spread of the COVID-19 virus. And whereas the temporary restrictions in movement is supported by the provincial health directors and the medical professionals in general. And whereas Ontario has specifically identified the practice of an Aboriginal or treaty right valid reason to cross the checkpoint. And whereas Temiskaming First Nation community members have expressed concerns that the provincial checkpoints currently enforced by Ontario and Quebec may prevent them from exercising their Aboriginal rights. And whereas in response to these concerns, the Chief and Council of the Temiskaming First Nation have provided a letter to the Premiers and the Attorney Generals of both Quebec and Ontario, requesting that checkpoint staff are clear in their roles and responsibilities and receive appropriate training and education. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby supports the Temiskaming First Nation in their request to ensure that checkpoint staff are clear in their roles and responsibilities, respect community members who are asserting their Aboriginal right, such as hunting, fishing, trapping, harvesting of plants and medicines, attending ceremonies, funerals, or other cultural practices, and allow them to pass through the checkpoint without incident, and train and educate all checkpoint staff to ensure the above noted information is properly applied to the Temiskaming First Nation members seeking to cross the border, and that further a copy of this resolution be sent to the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honourable Francis Legault, Premier of Quebec, the Honourable Sylvia Jones, Solicitor General of Ontario, the Honourable Doug Downey, the Attorney General for Ontario, and the Honourable Simon Jolene Barrett, the Attorney General for Quebec. So, any comments, discussion, Councillor Jelly?
Yeah, I do, Your Worship. I'm going to ask for a recorded vote on this motion, if I may. I won't be voting in favor of it. Let me make it very clear that I certainly respect the treaty rights and certainly encourage that they are followed. My issues come from a different perspective. That their rights are guaranteed in the Section 35 of the Constitution Act, so this isn't anything new. And Doug Ford, in the legislation, the regulation, I believe is 293-21, has reiterated that this is an important part of it and that it will be respected and they will be able to exercise their treaty rights. One of the issues I do have is that I'm not too sure what authority we have to interfere with the training of the OPP. We certainly, I don't believe, have any to make any comment on the training of Quebec provincial police officers. I looked through some stuff today. I don't see too much on their border crossings other than, you know, if I owned a cottage in Quebec, I could go to it, that type of thing. But I'm quite, they're also covered by the Constitution. So I'm quite sure that the rights are being carried out. As far as training of our provincial police officers, that's a Solicitor General responsibility. And on speaking with our detachment commander, there have not been any issues at the border that he's aware of. I would like to point out, as part of their the motion that's here, it says it may prevent them from exercising their rights. There doesn't seem to be any examples of anything having happened to this point or that it will happen in the future. So, like I say, I'm not in favor of it, and simply because I don't believe that we should be commenting on something that involves another province to start with. And this is very much entrenched in the, like I say, the Constitution and the regulation. Training has been carried out for the OPP. And in Ontario, we have a system set up that should there be any violation of their rights, this can certainly be brought to the attention of the complaints commissioner and dealt with that way. So like I say, I totally support their traditional rights, or their rights on their traditional lands and what have you. That's not why I'm against it. I'm not in favor of. I think this is speculating more than things that are happening. So for the reasons I've noted, Your Worship, I won't be voting in favor of it.
Thank you, sir. Councilor MacArthur?
Yes, Mayor Kidd, I must address this motion simply to alert the Temiskaming First Nation that this and other checkpoints have been put in place to protect all the people in the region from spreading this killer virus, as COVID-19 does. Really doesn't care about borders, agreements, treaties, and rights. So both Quebec and Ontario governments must take measures to slow down the third wave and variants, and that we have to be very cautious. Yesterday, another 3,400 people on Ontario got COVID-19. 16 people died. February of this year, 5,000 international air travelers tested positive for the virus, which is alarming. These cross-border decisions are to protect us all, including the Temiskaming First Nations, and not to break and change existing treaties and agreements. Rights such as hunting and fishing and also ceremonies, attending funerals, and other cultural practices. But right now, everyone must work together to end this pandemic. We are all in this together, and if not, our future remains very bleak. We are in a lockdown with some of our rights and our freedoms taken away. Our health experts have recommended many tougher measures, but believe me, all governments must and are listening to the medical folks just before any other groups, including the Temiskaming First Nations. If you want to please get our life back into the way we used to have it, we've got to be very vigorous with these actions by the governments. And really, I have to agree with Doug. I'm voting against this motion tonight. As a board of director of the Temiskaming Health Unit, I cannot vote in favor of this motion. I'm sorry.
Councilor Whalen?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Kidd. Yeah, I'm on. Thanks, Councilor Jelly, for your comments, because I was going to echo the same things, but my fear in passing this motion is I don't think we as a council have the training to decide if Aboriginal and treaty rights are being violated. So we're going to pass a motion that we're totally unqualified to defend. So I would agree that it's not in the best interest of the municipality at this time.
Other comments? Yes, Pat, here's a small picture there. Sorry, I missed you. Go ahead. Councilor Hewitt. You're muted, are you?
Yeah, I sincerely appreciate all these comments, and specifically Councillor MacArthur, kudos for you for what you've had to say in regards to this. There is no boundaries when it comes to who could be affected by COVID. So I thank you very much for your sentiment, and I wholeheartedly support. Public health issued this for a reason, and we're all in this together.
Any other comments? Just want to make a couple comments myself. I know the Temiskaming First Nation do come over here for a lot of their medical issues in that, they come to the Temiskaming Hospital. They actually come to the Temiskaming Health Unit as well for some of the services at the Temiskaming Health Unit. So that those rights are not being infringed upon. They can still come across the border and get their medical services required there as well. So we're not restricting there anything else. I do agree with Doug's comment that we are not in a position to really train any police officers or have them dictate as to what they can and can't do at those checkpoints. So that's my main opposition to this. But I mean, I certainly don't see them being restrictive and coming over here and their traditional rights and seeking medical advice. So, Councillor Jelly?
Yes, I can affirm what you say, Merkid. They are not being turned back when they're requiring medical attention or any services here. So that's not the issue at all. Thank you.
No. Okay. Any other comments before we have a recorded vote?
Sure, Your Worship. I'd just like to make a couple of comments. So one, I agree. The way the motion is written, I'm not in favor of. However, I do think that if there is any discrimination happening, I totally support ensuring that we assist in stopping that at some point in time. I don't think that's what we're talking about here necessarily in the motion. I totally agree that, we as a community definitely benefit a fair bit by, having the Aboriginal community support, our community, our businesses. And
the dog wants to say something, Jeff.
Yeah, so I do, I'm not in favor of the motion, but I'm definitely, want to make sure that if in fact something is happening, that we're not just closing our eyes to it and assuming everything is fine. There is a process there that, can be followed if it does happen. And I'm confident that that process is definitely there, and hopefully, if it is abused, then I would definitely support any action taken at that point in time.
Yeah, I think both this letter and their concerns will definitely go to the two premiers and then the two solicitor generals for both provinces. So this will be dealt with on a provincial level. If there are any additional training that needs to be done, that's up to them to make sure the OPP are trained as well. So any last comment? If not, I'll ask Logan to do a recorded vote. Doug goes first.
Councillor Jelly.
I'm opposed to this motion.
Councillor Foley.
Opposed.
Councillor Hewitt.
Opposed.
Councillor Ferrier.
Opposed.
Councillor MacArthur.
Opposed.
Councillor Whalen.
Opposed.
Mayor Kidd.
Opposed?
Your Worship, the motion is defeated.
Thank you very much. Maybe in the future, if they wanted to address this issue a little differently there, that would bring this back. Issue come back to council as well there. So. Okay, moving on, 15C is Memo 018-2021 CS, the Interim Building Services Agreement. And I got a motion moved by Councillor MacArthur, second by Councillor Jelly. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledge receipt of Memo 018-2021 CS, and the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter an agreement with the City of Timmins for interim building services for the consideration at the May 4th, 2021 regular council meeting later tonight. So, anybody comments? Anybody opposed to this motion? Seeing none, we'll move on. It's carried. Move on to item D, Memo 019-2021 CS, the funding request from the Tri-Town Ski Village and Ski and Snowboard Village, and Councillor Foley has declared a conflict on this. It's moved by Councillor Ferrier, second by Councillor Hewitt. Be resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledge receipt of Memo 019-2021 CS, and the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores approves the request from the Tri-Town Ski and Snowboard Village to sponsor their funding application to the Frog's Breath Foundation in the amount of $50,000 for the equipment storage garage project. Any comments? Anybody opposed to this motion? Seeing none, we'll consider that motion carried. 15E is Memo 020-2021 CS, the amendment to Bylaw 2021-005 for the FedNor funding agreement for the 2021 PDAC conference. And a motion moved by Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor Hewitt, be resolved that council for the State of Stores acknowledge receipt of memo 020-2021 CS, and the council direct staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to amend bylaw 2021-005 regarding the Prospectors and Developers Association of Canada PDAC convention for consideration at the May 4th, 2021 regular council meeting later tonight. So, any comments? James has got this all under control. Anybody oppose this motion? That is carried. 15F, Administrative Report CS 019-2021, the outdoor patio policy. And I have motion number 2021-207, moved by Councillor Foley, second by Councillor MacArthur. Be it resolved that council for the State of Stores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report CS 019-2021. And the council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to adopt an outdoor patio policy to allow and regulate patios on the city-owned property for consideration at the May 4th, 2021 regular council meeting later tonight. So, any comments, discussion? Councillor Whalen?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Kidd. I fully support this. I do have a question though, probably for the Director of Corporate Services. I'm just wondering, in the bylaw, we're going to declare how these have to be designed. We have to approve them. We're approving a dollar figure for per square foot, which all works very well for both the city and the applicant. But on page 2, it says, once approved, the lease agreement for the use of the property would be drafted and presented to council for their approval. That would add, in some cases, 14 days to the process. I'm wondering, since everything is pre-approved within the bylaw, could we not empower the city clerk and the Director of Corporate Services to approve these agreements and then just provide to council that it's been done and approved? It would save the applicant 2 weeks. The only difference is going to be the name on the application and the square footage. Nothing else is going to change. So I'm just thinking we could speed up the process significantly, unless staff has reasons for wanting it approved by council.
I think as long as they follow those engineered drawings, there should be no issue there. If they're coming up with something different, then I can say yes, maybe it should come back. But Shelley or Chris, comments?
I have no concerns with that if that's what council agrees to. I just want to defer to Chris as far as procedure on that.
Yeah, so for sure, to respond to Councillor Whalen's inquiry, yes, council can delegate authority. So I think that would help streamline the process. What we could do tonight is introduce the bylaw for first and second reading as it stands, do that amendment with the delegation of authority and bring it back at our May 18th meeting. And so the third reading of the bylaw would have change that clause so that the authority for the agreements is delegated to the appropriate staff.
So we couldn't just approve the change of the bylaw and do the third reading tonight, or is that contrary to the rules?
So, Logan, you might have to help me, but I think does the bylaw have to be in perfect form for third reading?
That is my understanding.
Under the procedural bylaw.
I'm just trying to figure out a way to save the applicant that 2 weeks.
Yeah. So I think if we can still, by the first and second reading, we could probably accept applications, and we're only talking right now till May 18th. And then the third reading of the bylaw would have the delegation of authority, which then and we'd be passing the bylaw according to the procedural bylaw. I think third reading has to be in the form that council, it has to be published in the form that it.
Yeah, okay. I'm like I say, I'm good with that then, but I'm just trying to speed up the process for the applicant. Thank you.
If we have any applications by the next council meeting, we can approve them individually at the next council meeting, but then we'll approve the third and final reading of this bylaw as well, eh? Would that work?
So, we can get people started on the process, and then once the delegation has happened, we'd be able to get them
Okay.
kind of a sixth of one, half dozen of the other. It looks like, unless council wishes to waive the rules, so there is an alternative. Council could waive the rules of procedure on the third reading, that it's not in its final form. We amend the third reading and pass it now. So we could do that by resolution, that council desires to delegate authority to the Director of Corporate Services for the agreements entered into under the outdoor patio policy.
I think with the weather for the next 2 weeks, probably nobody's going to be getting their applications in the next 2 weeks anyway. So I think we can probably wait for 2 weeks to do the third and final reading.
Yeah, I'm not asking to waive the rules. I think, if we do get any applications, we can start dealing with them and do the third reading on the 18th. I'm good with that. I just think it would speed up the process for both staff and the applicant.
Okay. Councillor Logan?
Thank you, Mary Kidd. I was just reviewing the procedural bylaw. Section 41.1C also outlines that no bylaw shall be introduced for first reading in blank or in imperfect form.
Okay.
That's
okay.
That's for first and second as well.
We'll just vote on this motion for now, and then we'll approve the first and second readings, and then we'll amend it for the following council meeting for the third and final reading. Councillor Jelly?
Didn't Logan just say that the first reading has to be in perfect order? Or did I not hear it properly?
Maybe I didn't hear it properly.
That is correct. So the bylaw outlines that no bylaw shall be introduced for first reading in blank or in imperfect form.
Okay.
So we really should just defer this motion.
Sorry. No,
yeah, go ahead.
You can pass this motion, but you would change it for consideration at May 4th to consideration at May 18th.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I would also suggest that you add a clause so it provides clarity in the resolution that delegation of authority be provided to the Director of Corporate Services for entering into individual agreements. If the mover and seconder were, that would just provide some clarity as to why you're referring it to the May 18th or changing it to the May 18th meeting.
Yeah. Councillor Foley, you understand what the amendments are, and you in favor of that? So we're going to put this off for consideration until the May 18th meeting, and then add a sentence there that we're looking at delegation of authority to the corporate services and the clerk to approve applications. Councilor MacArthur, you're second to the motion. Any issues you have? Okay. Anybody opposed to that amended motion? If not, we'll consider that carried. And moving on to 15G is Administrative Report CS 020 2021 Part Lot Control Exemption for 237-3775 Ontario Incorporated. And the resolution is moved by Councillor Ferrier, second by Councillor Jelly. Be it resolved that Council for the City of St. George acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report PW 020 2021, and the Council direct staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to remove part lot control on the land described as part of PIN 61339-0754, part of Block C, Plan M79NB, Part 5 of Plan 54R6121, Temiskaming Shores, District of Temiskaming, for consideration during the bylaw portion of the May 4th, 2021 regular council meeting. Any comments? Anybody opposed to this motion? We'll consider that one carried. 15H is Administrative Report PW 012-2021, the ICI water meter program. And I got a motion moved by Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor Hewitt. Be resolved that Council for the City of St. George acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report PW 012-2021, And the council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaws to enter into an agreement with Neptune Technology Group for the supply and installation of water meters for the ICI sector in the amount of $93,899 plus applicable taxes for consideration at the May 4th, 2021 regular council meeting. And that council directs staff to release the initial stakeholder communication letter and to host a virtual stakeholder meeting on Wednesday, June the 9th, 2021 at 10 a.m. for the ICI establishments affected by the new ICI water meter program. Any questions, comments? Anybody opposed to that motion?
I just realized though, for the public that may not know what ICI stands for, institutional, commercial, industrial. So yes. I realize we refer to ICI throughout that whole resolution, so the public may not know what that means.
Yeah, and this letter will go out to all the affected ICI people as well, eh? So.
Yes, that's correct.
Any other questions, comments? Anybody opposed to this motion? We'll consider that one carried. 15I, Administrative Report CS 021-2021, the water and sewer rates. And the motion moved by Councillor Foley, second by Councillor MacArthur. Be resolved that Council for the City of Twisting Shores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report CS 021-2021. The Council approves the following water sewer rate methods across the municipality. Multi-unit properties, the full residential water sewer rate per unit. For hotels, applicable commercial water sewer rates times the number of rooms times 35%. And for daycares, charged on a per student staff rate, and the council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to implement the new rate methods in future water sewer rate bylaws effective January 1st, 2022. So this will come in effect January 1st next year. The comments? Anybody opposed to this motion? That's carried. Hopefully that will standardize all our water throughout the city. 15J is Memo 012-2021 PW, the National Public Works Week proclamation. I think a motion moved by Councillor Jelly, second by Councillor Whalen. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital or of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Ontario. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided with the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for citizens, civic leaders, and children in Ontario to gain knowledge and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2021 marks the 61st annual National Public Works Week, now therefore be resolved that Council for the City of Twisting Shores hereby proclaim May the 16th to the 22nd, 2021 as National Public Works Week in the City of Twisting Shores, and urges all our residents to join city representatives to recognize our public works professionals, technologists, technicians, engineers, managers, and dedicated frontline employees to be recognized or to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our health, safety, and quality of life. Any comments? Councillor Jelly.
Yeah, so I don't have a lot of comments. I mean, it was pretty well self-explanatory in the resolution itself. I just want everybody to know these are the people that keep our city running, and they're the ones that are out there, so to speak, come hell or high water, repairing things and making sure that our streets and our water mains and everything else are up to par. But don't blame them for the bumps in the roads. We're the ones that set the budget. So anyways, a big thank you to our public works.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Any other comments? Anybody opposed to this motion? That is unanimous. Thank you. 15K Administrative Report PW 011-2021, the emergency water main relocation for Highway 11 crossing. And I motion moved by Councillor Ferrier, second by Councillor Foley. Be resolved that Council for the City of Twisting Shores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report PW 011-2021, that as outlined in bylaw 2017-015, the procurement policy, section 10. The council approves waiving the tendering procedure and directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into an agreement with Pedersen Construction 2013 Incorporated for the emergency water main relocation at the Highway 11 crossing in the amount of $158,850 plus applicable taxes for consideration at the May 4th, 2021 regular council meeting. And the council approves the utilization of the environmental reserves to finance the emergency water main relocation. So, any comments? So, people wonder why their water and sewer rates are so high. I mean, this is the kind of cost we're looking at to bore underneath the highway there and put that new water line across there under Highway 11. So, anybody oppose this motion? So, motion carried. 15L. Administrative Report RS-010-2021, the Hillbury Fire Hall Tender Award. A motion moved by Councillor Jelly, second by Councillor Foley. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report RS-010-2021. The Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores approves an increase in the 2021 capital budget for the Hillbury Fire Station from $1,680,000 to $2,513,000. The council agrees to fund the increase in the revised Hillbury Fire Station capital budget as follows. Use $604,895 in gas tax funding for the roads. Use that in gas tax funding for the roads program. Relocate $604,895 from the roads program to the fire hall project. Defer the New Liskeard Marina building repairs and relocate the own purpose revenue of $108,000 to the fire hall project. Utilize community development reserve in the amount of $120,105 for the fire hall project. And the council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter in an agreement with CGB Builders Incorporated for the award of the Hillbury Fire Station design build as detailed in the request for proposals RFP 002-2021 for a total upset limit of $2,090,000 plus applicable taxes for consideration at the May 4th, 2021 regular council meeting later tonight. Any comments? Discussion? Councillor Jelly?
Yes, very briefly, it's long overdue that we move this forward. It's come into fruition fairly quickly when it came in. Because of the volatile prices of building materials these days, the bidding companies could only give us 30 days hold on prices. So we're moving to get this done as quick as we can and save what we can before there's not any expectations in the near future that prices are going to come down. So anyways, it's going to be good to get this going. We've been putting this off for a few years. It's going to be a big boost to the Hillbury Station number 1 and a nice building for the town of for the old municipality of Hillbury. And I want to point out too that CGV are using 4 local contractors to assist in the building of this thing. So we've taken into account also that our local companies are going to be involved. So that creates more income for our city and more people around. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments, Councillor Foley?
I just have a question. The 600,000 we're transferring from the roads program. So is that coming out of this year's roads program, next year's roads program? I'm just confused where that money's coming from, why we're taking it from the roads program.
This was the new gas tax funding that was just approved or just announced about a month ago there or less. So that's where the money's coming from. We're juggling the money a little bit there because it's some of the capital roads project was debentured as well. So Chris, maybe you want to outline a bit more, or Laura Lee?
Yeah, so if I say anything wrong, Laura will correct me.
That's what I was afraid of.
So we received, the federal government doubled our gas tax funding this year. So it was unanticipated funding. When we went through the budget process late last year, early this year, we didn't anticipate that additional $604,000 that would be coming in this year. And so what we've done is we've taken that $604,000, moved it and doubled the amount of gas tax that we're going to put towards the roads program. Okay. Taken that money then from the roads program and brought it over to the fire hall. So it has a balancing out effect within the capital budget, but it's allocating the additional gas tax funding that we were getting that was unanticipated to the roads program, and then using that money for the fire hall. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good. Just then one other I had was, so when we're at 2.5 million, like are we, like we're guaranteed into this, we're not going to be coming back, or they're going to come back and say, oh, we can't get this until November and it's going to cost this much more?
Their proposal was for that 2 million, what's total, 2,090,000 was what CGB's bid was. And the rest is to actually do the water and sewer rates, or water and sewer lines to the property, and do all the servicing to that property, and also do put some furnishings in that building as well. So that's for the additional money. And they need a 30-day, we asked them for a 30-day quote with that fixed price. So that's what we're getting back to them before that deadline, 30 days comes up there. So, and they've been pretty good. They've been pretty good. I know the other project they worked on in the area, that it was a fixed price contract, and they honored that other contract. So I'm assuming they'll do the same on this.
You know, I just had concerns that we're going to end up by, you know, from 2 whatever to 3 million, but with just the way things are right now. But okay, that's good. You answered my questions. That's good. Thank you.
Mayor Kidd, if I could add that Matt has built in, Councillor Foley as well, a contingency fund. I believe that's 120,000 that was outlined in the report in contingency. If there are cost overruns or a change, not necessarily cost overruns, but if there are contract change orders, which could be to the positive or the negative, depending on supply of materials, we would be making sure that council is made aware of any change work orders as we go through the process.
Other questions, Councillor Whalen?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Kidd. I'm going to vote in favor of this. Normally, my conscience tells me we shouldn't vote in favor of this because it's such a variation from our approved budget we put so much work into. What's changing my mind, though, is the fact that we are getting doubling of the gas tax. That's a lifeline that I think we very fortunate to receive. So I think once we get the check, we should certainly acknowledge it by way of a letter from the mayor to the federal government, because lots of municipalities could really use that right about now. So thank you.
Thank you. We can do that letter for sure. Any other comments? Anybody opposed to this motion? Seeing and hearing none, we'll consider that motion carried. Moving on to the bylaws. We got a motion moved by Councillor Hewitt, second by Councillor MacArthur. Be it resolved that bylaw 2021-073 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2019-018 as amended to appoint community representatives to various committees and boards for the 2019 to 2022 term of council. Bylaw 2021-074 being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with the City of Timmins for the interim building services. Bylaw 2021-075 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2021-005 for the FedNor contribution agreement for the virtual Northern Ontario Mining Showcase for the 2021 Prospectors and Developers Association of Canada International Convention Project 852-512-885, Amendment number 1. Bylaw 2021-076 being a bylaw to adopt an outsource. Oh, sorry, we're going to postpone that one to the next council meeting, I believe. So we'll strike bylaw 2021-076 for now. Bylaw 2021-077 being a bylaw to remove part lot control from part of Block C, Plan M79NB, Temiskaming Shores, at roll number 5418010. -008-007.03. Bylaw 2021-078 being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Neptune Technology Group Canada Company for the supply and installation of water meters for the industrial, commercial, and institutional sectors in the City of Temiskaming Shores. Bylaw 2021-079 being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Pedersen Construction 2013 Incorporated for the Highway 11 Emergency Casing and Water Main Installation Project. And lastly, bylaw 2021-080, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with CGE Buildings Incorporated for the Hillary Fire Station design build. These bylaws are hereby introduced and given first and second reading. So, any comments? Anybody oppose this motion? We'll consider that one carried. And motion, resolution number 2021-215, moved by Councilor Whalen, second by Councilor Jelly. Be it resolved that bylaw 2021-073, 74, 75, 77, 78, 79, and 80 be given third and final reading, be signed by the mayor and clerk, and the corporate seal affixed thereto. Any last comment? Anybody oppose that motion? We'll consider that one carried. And moving on, scheduled council meetings. Next one scheduled for Tuesday, May the 18th at 6 p.m. Be another virtual meeting. And after that, next regular meeting is Tuesday, June the 1st, 2021 at 6 p.m. So we've reached the second question and answer period. Shelley, any questions in the chat box tonight?
I have one from Rob Ritchie. He's asking if the city is going to support the 101 experience and Nicole with her efforts to promote Temiskaming District and recognize tourism as an economic asset to Temiskaming Shores.
I guess, as I said to Nicole in that presentation there, I mean, we'll work with Matt Baum there as far as what she needs as far as facilities and discuss how that can be accommodated there. And I think it's a great thing that she's trying to organize there. And we certainly will assist where we can. And I think we'll work with Steve Langford there to make sure we're not running into any fire prevention issues there with that TP and that. So it depends on the location and everything else. So I think between staff, I think we should be able to accommodate what she's looking for. And hopefully that'll come back to council if he does have any special requests in a little more detail as well. So any other comments? Councilor MacArthur.
Yes, Mayor, it's come to my attention that I'm on the lakeshore a lot, and we do have the signs up. And what really scares me is the Saddle Trail is closed until the bollards are put in. And I'm seeing people with motorized bikes and people jogging and running. And you know what I'm afraid of? If there is ever an accident, even if we have those signs up saying that it's closed, we're responsible. And I don't like to look for trouble, but what I'm saying is that I guess we can't be in every, we can't be there every minute of the day, but people are using that trail and it's closed. And are they using it at their own risk? And I just like to get some kind of a clarification.
That would be my impression. I mean, if the signs are there, it's posted as not being open until Matt gets around, his staff get around putting the ballots up and taking down those signs. I mean, they're as far as I'm concerned, they're using it at their own risk there. Chris or Matt, any other comments?
So there is individual responsibility, right? So we each have individual responsibility, and that we all need to do the right thing as well. So from a liability point of view, there's always risk to us. We have covered that risk as far as making sure that there's notifications with the signage and so on. And we would continue to encourage members of the public to either adhere to the Highway Traffic Act if they are on bicycles, as an example, and best practice if you're a pedestrian, of course. Remember Constable Fowler telling me in kindergarten and grade 1 that I needed to walk facing traffic so that I could protect myself and be aware of my surroundings. So we certainly encourage people to follow best practice and applicable legislation if they're out using the municipal road. Once we get the Stato Trail open, then that changes a little bit as far as bi-directional traffic. But until the Stato Trail's open, bicycles for sure should be following the Highway Traffic Act.
Councilor Foley?
Yeah, sorry for Matt. Yeah, Matt, what were we planning? When is the Stato Trail opening, guys? Are we going to be open earlier this year? Are we planning on that, or is it still going to be May long weekend? I can't remember.
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity to answer that question. As Chris said as well, regarding those who are using the Stato Trail when it's not open, We do put out messaging that reminds everyone they are to follow the Highway Traffic Act. Like Chris said, pedestrians are to walk facing traffic. Those on bicycles should be traveling with traffic. Further, we are looking to open the Saddle Trail earlier than usual. In fact, at the beginning of the week, our plan was to install bollards starting tomorrow. The weather may push that back one more day, but it is expected to be completed by the end of this week, at which point in time we'll remove the signs that say it's closed, the bollards will be up, and people will be able to use it freely.
Okay. Other comments? I think people have to take the responsibility for their own actions there. I mean, last year I seen somebody walking along the trail when the snowplow was coming towards them there. So, I mean, they got to be realistic there and realize that they can't be traveling on that portion of the road there, especially in the wintertime. So, any other questions at all, Shelley? Chris?
No other questions, Carmen.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry,
Chris?
just one comment on the schedule of meetings I wanted to make was we will also continue with the June 1st meeting virtually, and that will just give us time to assess and prepare for whatever may come after May 20th. So, but just so members of council and the public are aware, we'll plan right now for both our May 18th and June 1st meeting to be virtual, and then reassess for our next meeting in June, where we go from there.
I thought Brad would want to get us back into the council chambers to try out all those new IT installations that he got in there.
We do want to get you in soon, but it's just it would be better for us to hear at least what's going to happen on the 20th, just so we're not juggling things back and forth.
No, that's for sure. Good. Thanks, Chris. There's no closed session tonight. Confirming the bylaw, moved by Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor Jelly, be it resolved that the bylaw 2021-081 being a bylaw to confirm certain proceedings of the council of the corporation of the city of Twisting Swords for its regular meeting held on May the 4th, 2021, be hereby introduced and given first and second reading. Anybody opposed? So that one carried. And lastly, bylaw 2021-217, moved by Councillor Hewitt, second by Councillor McCarthy, be it resolved that bylaw 2021-081 be given third and final reading, be signed by the mayor and clerk, and the corporate seal affixed thereto. Anybody oppose that motion? We'll consider that one carried. And last motion, moved by Councillor Ferrier, second by Councillor Foley, be it resolved the city council adjourns its meeting at 7:16. Anybody oppose that motion? We are good. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks very much. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
We have in Northeastern Ontario is this really cool opportunity to create these very authentic and powerful memories for people coming into the communities. My name is Dee Dillabo. I was born in North Bay and I grew up here in Mattawa. After high school, I felt the need to do some traveling and really had this beautiful opportunity to see cultures completely different from my own. We did have a really cool experience in Indonesia. We ended up ordering fish from a local fisherman. And so that ended up being a really special experience because we all sat around at this table and we talked about local culture and different experiences growing up and shared local food. Something like this is one of the most memorable experiences I had while traveling. Tourists want these authentic, intimate, one-on-one experiences with locals. When I came back to Mattawa, it was special to see the town in this completely new light. There are people in Mattawa who know how to do things like mushroom picking and foraging, building birch bark and cedar strip canoes, Métis beading. I know that as a traveler, those experiences that I was really searching for, they're all available here. 101 Experiences is this really cool organization. They're aiming to work with those individuals that have these cool interests and hobbies, and they're trying to bottle them into a micro experience. For example, you go on a guided walk and you learn about the plants and the berries and the mushrooms that you can eat, and then you come back and you actually cook those mushrooms up. It creates a really well-rounded, memorable experience. We have the people here, we have the culture here, we have the art. The issue is, how do we make that connection? How do we connect the locals to the travelers and the tourists? A Passion Scout is crucial because they know the locals. They encourage them to help people make memories. I think the key to finding Passion Scouts in your community is that you're finding people who are empowered to make some real change in their community by empowering other people. They see their community with a brand new lens. The beautiful thing is that we can give our community this economic boost by utilizing what we already have in our communities, which is these talented, motivated, passionate people with really interesting skills and hobbies and interests to share.